Super Rugby Aotearoa round number 2. Dream team. 15 guys who played pretty well at the weekend. To be fair, it's mostly Crusaders and Blues guys. It's easier to love a winner, right? But yeah, I've gone through these guys. As always, you guys can let me know which ones you think fit, which ones you think stink, and yeah, we'll go from there. Starting actually with a Hurricane, one of the props, I've gone with Fraser Armstrong, who probably has the best name for a prop, because you want to have pretty strong arms, I guess, if you're a prop. It's another one with the props. You generally go solid without being spectacular. He had one run, 2 meters, which again is fine, because that's not why you pick your props generally. I mean, sometimes you get props who bring a bit of X factor, but generally you go with the consistency. 10 from 12 tackles, though, is a phenomenal shift. He didn't concede a penalty up against a pretty good Crusaders pack. Their scrum was either even or under a bit of pressure, but I think he did a pretty solid job at keeping things up. I think officially they were 3 from 3 in the scrum, so yeah, there weren't a lot of them, but there you go. Held under that pressure. Traditionally, when you think Hurricanes Crusaders, you think the Crusaders are probably going to get on top at scrum time. And that being said, I have gone with a Crusader as my other prop. I've gone with Michael Aotearoa. 5 runs for 11 meters is actually remarkably good numbers for the average prop. He even snuck in a pass. 7 from 7 tackles is 100%. Also didn't concede a penalty, and also was on the opposite end of that scrum and putting the Hurricanes under pressure. You could say didn't fully dominate, but certainly kept them under pressure, and his all-round the park work was very solid. So yeah, pretty happy with both those guys. I feel like a lot of the other props this week conceded a fair few penalties and whatnot, but yeah. Hooker, I have gone. I never thought I would do this. I always give this guy stick. James Parsons. I always say he's probably the weakest starting hooker of all the Super Rugby franchises. You compare him to the likes of Cody Taylor, Dane Coles, even Liam Coltman, Nathan Harris and whatnot, and you kind of think, man, Parsons is probably not your starting guy, even though he's had a couple of All Blacks caps, but I think he put in a pretty good effort at the weekend. Again, I should mention that Blues-Chiefs game, I haven't had a chance to watch it back yet. I'm only going on what I saw at the game. So, yeah, take that just into consideration. Stats-wise, he's got 6 runs, 4 meters, which is fine. 7 from 8 tackles is a pretty good shift. The Blues lineout was at 90%, and I'm pretty sure the only one that went astray was Eklund's one. So I think Parsons was actually at 100%. And all the lineouts this week, the Crusaders won, the Hurricanes won, the Chiefs won, were pretty poor. So that area of consistency is actually pretty nice for the Blues. This week's Highlanders Blues game will be an interesting one to see, because I think the Highlanders had a pretty good line-out shift as well, to see which side kind of gets on top in that department. He also had a turnover. He did concede 1 penalty, and they even got a tight head, I think. From what they said on the radio as I was watching, they said James Parsons managed to sneakily hook a ball back on the Chiefs' feed. So if that's true, hell of an effort from James. Locks, I have gone with the Blues man. It kind of makes sense to go with Big Patrick Tuipulotu, the captain for the Blues. Again, the lineout was good. He took 4 of them, so he'll take credit for part of that. 11 runs, 34 meters, probably counts as a barnstorming effort for a lock. Generally, those tall timber guys find it hard to really get over the gain line when they've got such a big frame to move around. They can't get low enough, but he put in a pretty good shift, man. Had a clean break, 4 defenders beaten, even chucked in an offload there. 14 out of 15 tackles. He did give away 2 penalties, and he did cough up the pill once. But I thought, generally, he's looked the business, which is really refreshing for the Blues to see, because I've always considered him a good but not great player. But he's kind of, great. It's that he's kind of stepping up. So, pretty pleased with that. I probably snubbed this guy a bit last week, but I've gone with Ngātiawa Akoi from the Chiefs. 8 runs for 12 meters. He does like having the pill. He had a pass in there as well. 12 from 13 tackles makes him the top Chiefs tackler in that losing effort against the Blues. He didn't concede a penalty when a lot of penalties were being conceded. He did get put under a bit of pressure at line-out time, as did the Chiefs generally. Tokiaho probably takes a bit of stick as well, but he got 2 line-out wins in what was a pretty youthful lineup, you'd have to say, at least in the second row for the Chiefs. So, yeah, I could have gone with some other guys, but I've gone with Akoi. Lucy's. I have gone with Cullum Grace. He is just a tackling machine, man. The guy loves tackling. 13 out of 15 is not the top guy this week, but he's one of the better ones. 8 runs for 11 meters, also has a clean break, also has 2 passes. He did concede 2 penalties. The Crusaders conceded a lot of penalties, especially in that first half. But, yeah, I still think that guy, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say how far guys are going to go, but certainly on his defensive game, he is a bit of a star. I've also, speaking of a bit of a star, the stuff which probably gets a bit more plaudits than a bunch of tackling is Hoskins Sututu. I mean, the guy did everything, didn't he? He had a try. He had a try assist, and what a pass that was. 7 runs for 24 meters. He's always got really good ratio of meters per run. He had 4 passes, including that try assist, 15 out of 16 tackles, so he's not just all about the ball and hand stuff. He did concede a penalty. He also won a turnover. He also won 4 lineouts and had a lineout steal. What didn't the guy do? Possibly player of the week? I don't know. What do you guys reckon, man? I'm a biased Blues man over here. And the last guy, I've kind of got a choice to make. I think I've written down 2 guys. I'm going to go with this guy. I'm going to go with Akira Iwane. Again, this may be a bit of a biased Blues one. Let me have my moment, man. We went down to Hamilton, got a win. I also had Papali'i there because he had 15 out of 15 tackles, which is just a phenomenal shift, but he did get yellow carded as well. Again, I haven't seen it back, but the radio I was listening to said his one was pretty dumb, going for a ball he shouldn't have gone for. Akira had 10 runs for 17 meters. He had 2 defenders beaten. He had 4 passes and offload. 12 from 12 tackles is perhaps one of the more pleasing things with Akira, because generally he's always got great tackle busts. He makes a bunch of meters. He loves the ball and hand stuff, but the stuff he gets criticized for is maybe his work rate. But 12 from 12 is a top shift. He didn't concede a penalty, and he got 2 turnovers. So yeah, I think I'll go with Akira there. You might be thinking, lacking some Crusaders. Give me a moment. I've gone former Blues man, Bryn Hall, in the number 9 jersey. He had a try assist, that great little kick through. 2 runs, 9 meters. He didn't run the ball a whole heck of a lot, I guess, if you look at those numbers. 44 passes, 5 kicks. So he was being the distributing machine, which I guess is your primary role. So we'll take that. 3 from 3 tackles. Did concede 2 penalties. But otherwise, I thought he bossed the back, and Drummond looked pretty good when he came on as well. So, yeah, Crusaders had a bit of fun. I mean, the Blues 9 combo did all right as well, but I'm going to go with Hall there. I'm also going to go with Mounga here in the 10 jersey. Again, not a perfect outing from him, but he certainly does a lot, man. He got a try. Why wouldn't he? He had 4 conversions, some of them pretty tough. One of them, the ones that he missed, weren't that far away. 2 penalties, so he had 19 points all up. Remember, the Crusaders got 39, so he got a fair chunk of them, pretty much half. 8 runs. This is what I do like about him. 8 runs, 10 kicks, and 11 passes. He's pretty much got an even spread of what he's going to do with the ball, which I guess if you're defending him also keeps you really in 3 minds as to what on earth he's going to do. He had 29 run meters, had a clean break, had a defender beaten. 8 from 10 tackles is a solid shift. No penalties conceded, and apparently won 2 turnovers. The area which I guess you would say is a bit of a black mark is he conceded the ball 4 times, which is too many. Other than that, pretty solid. I generally don't go with yellow carded guys, but I am going to go with Jack Goodhue here, despite the haircut. The midfield was a tough one, man. There was no perfect guy. I mean, TJ Fainea had great defensive stats, but he didn't do much with ball in hand. Rico did more ball in hand, but he fell off, I think, more tackles than he made. Vince Aso, likewise, ball in hand was great. Defensively, again, a bit poor. Laumape, on the other hand, maybe he was a bit more quiet, even though he did help set up that one Hurricanes try. But he was a bit quiet for most of the game in terms of his ball in hand stuff. But defensively, I think he was 9 from 10 tackles. The Chiefs midfield, ALB and Tupaia. I think Tupaia also fell off a couple tackles. So I've gone full Crusader. I've gone Eno and Goodhue, which is maybe a bit of a cop-out because the other guys were kind of a 50-50 one. But I mean, so was Goodhue, given that he got a yellow card. The saving grace, I guess, with Goodhue is his yellow card wasn't necessarily him. It was more of the team's one, and he's the guy who copped the brunt of it. So it's not like he was the only man on the wrong side of the ref. It's just they'd been warned and he was the next cab off the rank. You could say that rules him out, but I'll still put him there. He got a try, 4 runs, 17 metres. Pretty good return. He'd like probably more ball than that. A clean break, 9 from 9 tackles. He did concede 2 penalties and got that yellow card, which again, the Crusaders' discipline was an interesting thing. I generally look, if you're curious, at 2 rugby sites. I look at ESPN and I look at Rugby Pass to see the stats of the players. Rugby Pass is good because they give stats for turnovers, line-out wins, line-out steals, which ESPN doesn't do. But I get the bulk of the stats from ESPN, and I kind of feel justified in that because I look at like the 2 penalties and the 1 yellow card is from ESPN, whereas Rugby Pass would have you believe it's no penalties conceded, 1 yellow card. That probably can't be right? If you didn't give away that penalty, then you wouldn't have got yellow carded. But he was offside, right? Offside penalty. Anyway, not throwing any shade, just saying that sometimes the accuracy maybe leaves a bit to be desired. I love the fact that they do turnovers, line-out steals, all that kind of good stuff that the other sides don't do. Enor, he had a try from that kick through. He had to be alert for that one. 2 runs for 11 metres. He would certainly like more ball than that. He had an offload. He made 100% of his tackles, 4 from 4. He did concede a penalty. So, I mean, to be honest, Enor, I'm not 100% sold on. You could chuck in Laumape with his defence and with that try assist, I'd be pretty chuffed. You could chuck in Rico if you want to say he's becoming the attacking midfielder we want him to be. He just needs to work on his D. You could put in Fainea. I say the opposite. He's defensively really solid. Just needs to work on his attack at the minute, which seems unusual. Arsehole you could chuck in, man, honestly. Chuck in. Insert name here. Outside backs, and I have gone with more than one guy in the 15 jumper. I've gone with Will Jordan. I know he played at fullback, but I'm chucking in there. He had a try assist, 14 runs for 111 metres. I know you get some cheap ones at fullback, but still. 3 clean breaks, 8 defenders beat. Now, he's got kind of that Ben Smith style of beating defenders, doesn't he? He's just not running over guys. He just manages to be really elusive. 2 offloads, 3 from 3 tackles. He only had to kick once. So it was more about the ball and hand work for him. Whereas this man, Bowden Barrett, he had a penalty and a drop goal, so got some points in his Blues jumper, which is very welcome to see as a Blues fan. He had 9 passes, 7 runs for 40 metres, so good return. Beat 5 defenders. It was a wet night, so maybe a good time for beating defenders. That being said, he had 3 from 3 tackles, so he wasn't falling off them of his own. And he had 13 kicks. And you'd have to say that territorial kicking on a night like that in Hamilton was also a large part of why the Blues were able to get a result. The last guy I have gone with is Super Reese. He had a try in 59 seconds, man. Crusaders, it is brutal. You can't give them an inch. 1 try, 10 runs for 73 metres, and that's probably for him not all that exceptional, but it's still pretty good. 2 clean breaks, 2 offloads, 6 passes, 4 from 6 tackles is maybe the slight black mark, along with a penalty conceded, but he got 2 turnovers. So pretty solid effort from him for the Crusaders. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Like I said, there are some kind of positions which are a bit more convincing than others. But yeah, that's my lot for this game for this week. I'm going to go back and watch that Chiefs Blues game tonight, partly because that's just nice to relive. But yeah, because I haven't seen it, and you do get a different feeling from it on the telly. There's some stuff you can see clearer at the game, and some stuff which you miss depending on which area of the ground you're sitting on. But it was definitely a cool one to go to in person. I would encourage, as always, you guys to get out to the games if you've got a local one or one that's kind of relatively close. Anyway, guys, you let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.